how's it going, everybody? Thanks again for joining me for another edition of Bauman's Breakdown. I'm Mike Bauman, joined as always by my producer slash whiz guy, Mike Jameson. How you doing, Mikey?
Whiz guy.
Yeah. You don't want me to call you
like
my boss anymore.
The whiz guy.
Yeah, you're the whiz guy. You're good with all the the production stuff and the games and everything we do.
Is that the original Wizard of Oz guy or the Michael Jackson whiz?
I'd like to think you're somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
That's what I'd like to think.
All right, I'll go with you on that.
But thanks again for joining us again here. We're creeping into winter now, and it was a great weekend for us as football fans because both our teams won. Ohio State won, moved to 12-0, and
exactly.
My Notre Dame Fighting Irish finally shut everybody up for at least another month or so until the national championship game and beat USC. So I'm excited to see the Golden Domers back on top of college football for the time being, and the rumblings won't stop until they actually win the whole thing. So We'll see what happens. It looks like it's going to be the winner of the Alabama-Georgia game. All signs are pointing towards that, but they took care of business this weekend, so I was a happy fellow. It was a really good Saturday, actually. My sister was in town for Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see my brother. He's working, but my sister was in town. Got to spend time with her and my oldest brother Brandon and my dad. I mean, it was just a fun Saturday. It was a good weekend.
Good stuff, and you can hear the dogs barking outside. That's a beautiful sunny day here now. All the dogs outside. Yeah, hopefully you can't hear that. Anyways, no, it was a great weekend. A lot of good sports this weekend. I watched a lot of football. I made up for the fact I did not get to watch that much football this year in the last 4 days. I watched a lot of football.
And how was your Thanksgiving?
Very good. We chowed like always, and we have our family Thanksgiving the week before, so it's just Haley and I just make a big dinner and then I just feast on it for like 5 days, and I feel like I've gained 61 pounds, so that'll have to come off this week. So we start working on that this week, and then we started basketball this week.
Yes, we did. We
barn burner.
Yeah.
No, literally burned the barn down.
Yeah, it was a blowout, the game that we did on Friday for Toledo Sports Network. But we should have we've got some good ones this week, especially on Friday between Lake and Toledo Christian.
It should be a real good game.
At their new gym. That should be a fun one.
And the Rossford Ottawa Hills girls game should be a pretty good game, too.
Oh, yeah. Those are both teams the last couple of years that have had pretty consistent programs, and especially Rossford, they got a lot of girls coming back this year.
Exactly.
They're gonna be tough, but yeah, we're creeping into winter here, and for this week's episode, which I believe this is the 10th one now. This one I wanted to give you a little bit more local flavor because this young man's particular story, we first got in touch a little over a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. Gosh, man, time flies. But he's a young fella that got in touch with me about his local band, and in the time since, not only has he continued to do stuff with them, but he also, kind of did something that I feel like this just is an inspiring story for any kid out there to pursue their dreams, whether it's music or otherwise, because it's pretty cool. And the young man I'm talking about is Toledo native Dean Tartaglia. And Dean's a guy that's the front man in a local band called Mindfish. And long story short, just to kind of give you a little bit of background about Dean and kind of how he got where he is today, he started taking piano lessons when he was like 6 years old. His parents enrolled him in piano lessons, and he's always had a love for music and started to get in more stuff in his teenage years, and especially when he got into high school. At St. Francis de Sales in Toledo, really started to get into music and playing in bands and things like that. Went down to Ohio University down in Athens, where he was a music performance major with a minor in jazz studies. And Steve Worsler, the drummer for Mindfish, he also went to St. Francis, so they knew each other from high school in Toledo, and they hooked up when they got down to Athens and started making music together, and that's kind of how Mindfish got rolling along, and they ended up becoming a pretty big band down in Athens, Ohio, and did a lot of shows down there, and just in that college scene. I mean, Athens, it's all about OU down there. It's a huge college town, and really Mindfish has done pretty well. They've done a lot of regional touring. They've played with bands like Fits and the Tantrums, We Are the Fury, the Constellations over the years, and really built a name for themselves. came out with Watch Out, their latest album, within the last year, and so it's been a nice ride with them. But Dean has always kind of tried to get his foot in and know as many people as he can, and really has networked within the music scene locally and now even nationally. There's a band out of Detroit that a lot of you are probably familiar with called The Sights. And Dean, in addition to being a good singer, he's a pretty musically inclined kid, and he's a saxophone player as well. And he met those guys up there in Detroit on winter break and started helping them out with their merchandising, and talked to Eddie Baranek, told him about his band, and Eddie's the front man for The Sights. And eventually The Sights came down to OU, played a show with Mindfish, and they were expanding, saw his sax playing abilities, and so Dean ended up getting in with The Sights as their saxophonist. And one of The Sights' biggest fans is Jack Black, which...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jack Black has been a big fan of The Sights for a really long time. And obviously Jack Black, in addition to being an actor, is also a musician himself as part of Tenacious D, and which they're awesome. I mean, Jack Black really is a great entertainer, a great performer. Tenacious D came out with their new record this summer, and guess who he asked to come on a tour with him, Mikey? The Sights.
Wow.
So here's Dean, this Toledo kid, just pursuing his passion for music, networking, and he's played with local band Gold as their saxophonist as well. And he, gets to talking with Eddie Baranek from The Sights, and all of a sudden he's the saxophone player in The Sights. Was part of the recording for their new album Leftover Right, which came out on June 19th. They had Jack Black, being a big fan of The Sights. They go on tour with him this summer, and that was when Dean and I talked. The last time we talked was right when he was in the first couple of weeks of being out in California and being on the road with The Sights as part of their summer tour with Tenacious D. And it was just really cool, man. It was this interview, we talked about what it's just been like for him to be a kid in his early 20s. I mean, he literally graduated from college in May, Mike, and 2 days later flew out to Los Angeles to begin touring as a saxophonist for The Sights to open for Tenacious D.
Oh, that's good. He got the education, and then that's cool.
Yeah.
That's very good.
So this is it was fun talking to Dean, and like I said, we've known each other now for almost 2 years, and it's just been cool to kind of see his personal journey with Mindfish and now with The Sights. They went back on tour over in Europe just a couple months ago with Tenacious D again to do some European dates. So it was cool just to talk to him about what it's been like, this road for him, this path for him, and also what it was like to meet Jack Black of Tenacious D. So without further ado, I'm going to shut the heck up and let you guys hear this awesome story. This is Dean Tartaglia, the frontman for Mindfish and the saxophonist for The Sights. So what's this been like, man? I know you guys played a show with the Tenacious D at Fox Theater recently, right, out in California. Was that the first one?
The first one was the Santa Barbara Bowl in Santa Barbara, California. It's been a whirlwind. I graduated college last Friday, and then Sunday I got on a plane to go out to LA to meet up with the rest of the band. Did a couple shows with them, and then we did like a Monday, Tuesday in LA. Wednesday was the first day with Tenacious D, Santa Barbara Bowl. It's been mind blowing, man. I think the word I've used the most when I've been trying to explain to people that everything is just kind of surreal. And I think going into it, I kind of maybe had this feeling like maybe I don't deserve this because we didn't really know why we were on tour with them. We just got a message from their management and maybe we weren't ready or something like that. But I don't know. It's just been. I don't really feel that way anymore. It kind of feels surreal. We met him the first day when we were like loading in, and we met Jack Black and Kyle Gass. But we kind of found out pretty quickly that pretty much the reason we were on tour is because, Jack has heard us. Sites have been around for probably 14 years with different lineups, and I've only been around for a year and a half. But Jack heard us almost a decade ago and just remembered us. And we had I talked to him. Everyone in the band's talked to him a little bit, but he's he's been super supportive. He really pushed to have us on the bill. He watches the show every night. That part is kind of surreal because, I mean, it's not like he looks any different in person than he does when you see him, you know, in a movie or whatever. But at the same time, it just kind of doesn't feel like it's real life. And it's just been wild, man. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned you've been with these guys a year and a half, and I remember the first time I talked to you, you told me that you were playing sax with these guys. But how and when did your relationship with the Sights come about?
It was, probably a year and a half ago. I got back for winter break. I was in Toledo for, a month or whatever, and I think it was actually the first day I got back, I decided, I found out they were doing they're putting out one of their, not this new album that we're going to be putting out that just went on iTunes, but the one before that back in, it was like November of 2010. I heard they were doing that in Detroit, and my buddy was working merch. So I just drove up and started working merch with them, and that kind of started a relationship of me being at shows and just talking to the guys in the band. And I remember that horn session that night, and I told the singer Eddie, wasn't really into that then, that like I played saxophone if they ever needed a sax player. And to him it was just kind of funny because they had a sax player at the time or whatever, but things changed. And then when I first put the Sights down in Athens, we booked them down in Athens, and they stayed with me in my place, and we just hung out for most of the night. And I really know. I think at one point he just asked if I wanted to do a show with him. I said yes, and then it kind of haven't really looked back since.
So when was your first gig with those guys?
I did a couple up in Detroit in like winter of 2011. Just like small clubs in Detroit. And then slowly we started doing more stuff. We went out to Chicago and St. Louis for a weekend. Then we've done a couple New York trips. There have been there were a couple really cool, really big shows. They did this thing, it was like their 12th year anniversary this past winter. They did a release of like demos and like never heard songs. And it was at the Magic Stick up in Detroit, which is like a pretty big club, and they invited back all the old band members. That was a total blast. I got to meet a lot of people, and really, really good crowd. Just like, it was kind of like people who had been around for the past decade that came back together and while hanging out, and there have been some, really cool opportunities. I always thought that in the Sights, there's always, when you're in a band for long enough, I think your game plan's kind of a little more worked out, or, you don't take every single show you're offered. You kind of have, more to figure out. They had a lot of success back. It's kind of when the whole White Stripes thing blew up in Detroit, and I mean, everyone kind of all knew each other up there, and they got a little bit of attention, especially like out in Europe and out in LA, and they had a record deal for a little while, and were in a couple of songs in a couple of movies, stuff like that. And they toured with a couple of big names, like they did a tour with Robert Plant back in 2005, I think. But, it kind of hasn't really returned to that level, I don't think, until right now with some of these bigger gigs we're playing, and the clubs, they're holding like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. It's pretty insane. So I'm just lucky to be a part of it. I'm lucky that Eddie saw potential in my playing and my abilities as a performer, and it's cool to be a sideman to a frontman who's so talented. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you recorded Leftover Right with these guys too, right?
Yeah, I have pretty much all the tracks. Again, it's like a sideman thing. Do a lot of saxophone. I do some vocals. Then I've got one of my own tunes is on the album as well.
Yeah, what song is that?
It's called You Are the Sunshine. It's song 7. It's just a short little I don't know, it's kind of corny, kind of tongue-in-cheek. And it kind of, I don't want to say it doesn't fit any of them, but it's a nice break from what's going on. It's a pretty straight-ahead rock album, pretty short, too. It's about 30 minutes long, so, but it's great. I'm really proud to be a part of it. It's been fun to tour on already.
Now, this was recorded in Detroit, right? So did you like go record with them while they were doing this, or did they like send you stuff down in Athens while you were in school?
We tried that. We tried the last thing, and it didn't really work so well. But it was done over a long period of time. There was really no set release date for a while. It was just kind of too loud, which I think was smart because we didn't really rush it until we found out in March that we were going to be going on tour. And then there was a real push to finish it. I found time in between gigs and when I was up in Toledo to travel up to Detroit, and we did that. Ghetto Recorders, which is Jim Diamond's studio, and he's famous for having done the White Stripes' first couple albums. But I was up there in Detroit. Usually they'd finish a track, and then I would come in and lay down whatever else I needed to lay down for that session, and it worked pretty easily. There was really no big conflict.
So you graduated from college a week ago Friday?
Yes.
So what? I mean, I know you've talked about it a little bit already, but what has this ride been like? Just to be a kid from Toledo who liked music, and then I mean, obviously you've had to work your butt off to get to this point. But I mean, what's it been like to have the sights bring you on? And then you mentioned meeting Jack Black. I mean, like that's kind of crazy.
It's I kind of like most things. It's really kind of insane when it all first happens, and even with the sites too, because I've been listening for years and years and years, and it's a really big deal when I got the chance to start playing with them. And then I don't know, with that, and for example, you kind of get used to it, and I don't take it for granted at all or anything, but it just kind of becomes a part of your life, and it kind of almost feels like a relationship, like you meet someone for the first time and you're all about them and it's great, and then it's not as exciting years later when you met someone that you really like, but you appreciate them for different reasons, and the friendships are kind of deeper with the people that you've been touring with longer. I feel lucky, and I've always thought that luck is kind of like talent and hard work and success and all that stuff just kind of lining up for no better reason than it just happens. And it's not like it's not like we worked towards trying to get on the bill with Tenacious D. That was just kind of happened out of nowhere, I guess with Jack Black, it's funny because I was kind of really freaked out when we first started meeting him, and he was kind of talking to us a lot. And then we played on Monday we played the Sasquatch Music Festival, which it was fantastic. It's out in Quincy, Washington, and there were huge names on the bill, like Beck and Bon Iver and the Shins, and there's a whole long list, and it just kind of blew my mind that I got to meet all those people, and we all had dinner together, and just being around them. It's surreal. I guess I keep coming back to that, but we had we had the noon slot. We were like the first band on the bill, and we started our first song, and we noticed that Jack Black was front and center, and it just kind of it kind of just goes to show that whatever happens after these 3 months or whatever, I'm on tour. Kind of, I'm not, I'm really focusing on the present, because I know that it's kind of like a 1 in a million thing, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just lucky to even be doing this, and I think I'm more concerned with trying to stay, level-headed with all this, just because it's exhausting too, out on the road, and then just having kind of the extra pressure and the extra adrenaline of doing something to this magnitude, it kind of tires you out faster than it normally would to be on the road. But, Jack and everyone in the band, too, a lot of the guys in his band, too, it's a full band on this tour, and they're just normal dudes like us, and we all hang out and stuff, but, I mean, it's just funny you get to know after a couple days that Jack is just a normal guy, like any of us, and he's just, things just worked out differently, I guess, and we're just trying to get we're just trying to do the best we can. You almost try not to think about it too much. Just kind of warm and just do your job well, and then stay grounded, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what's that? I mean, because I can tell you as like a journalist, I mean, I love talking to whoever I'm talking to, whether it's somebody local or somebody who's an unknown or somebody who's national, but the cool thing is when I do get to talk to somebody that's high profile or whatever, the cool thing about it for me isn't that, wow, I got to talk to such and such. It's, wow, I got to talk to such and such, and they were actually a really cool person. Like Ray Luzier from Korn was like that. Morgan Rose from Seven Dust was like that. They were just, they were these guys I listened to growing up, but they were actually just really down-to-earth people when I talked to them, too, and were really gracious and gave me their time. And is that kind of like the same thing with you and meeting Jack Black? Like, it's like, wow, I got to meet Jack Black, but oh my God, he's actually like a normal human being, too. He's not a jerk.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing, along the lines of what you're saying, he listens to me when we talk, which is just kind of, you kind of almost weirdly, you kind of almost don't expect that, because with celebrities, and especially like, he's done so many movies, that's kind of been his thing the past half decade or whatever. You're used to him just acting and seeing him put forth something for people, but just having him like a normal conversation, when there's back and forth, and he's listening to what you're saying. That's definitely the coolest part. It's cool to know that you can just like be yourself, be human on this tour, and like I don't know, it wouldn't be right, it wouldn't feel right if I kind of felt like I'd like watch my back or something like that, or like watch what I said. But he's totally down to earth and supportive too. I think that's the biggest thing. We didn't know what to expect if he'd be hanging around, but he's there every night watching us, and he's really supportive. And I know he really pushed to get us on the bill, because we're we do well regionally, but nationally it's not like we have that much of a rapport, on a large scale. So it's kind of been a risk on his part, to even have us. But, in my humble opinion, like, I think it's really paying off. The crowds really, really have been supportive towards us, too, and all the staff and everybody at these venues and the people we've met. So it's, it kind of feels like what we've been doing just on a bigger scale. And it's a comfortable environment. It doesn't feel out of control or anything, or weird, or fake. It feels like a very real thing, and I think that's what we're most fortunate about all of us. So.
What was it like when you first met him? Were you like really nervous? I mean, because you've been in some situations now where you've met, you mentioned the sites. I mean, that took some balls to do that. I mean, you've toured enough with Mindfish, and you guys have played some big shows with other big people. So, I mean, were you nervous when you met him, or I mean, what was that like the first time you met him?
Yeah, he walked through the door, and actually, like, I looked over and made eye contact and freaked out. And I looked away immediately, because I'm like, oh, this is weird. It's like, so like almost out of body. But I think the first couple times I was really nervous, mostly because I didn't know what to expect, and mostly because I didn't know if almost like why we were there in the first place. But he immediately came over us and just started talking to us and saying he was happy to have us on the bill. And I remember our keyboardist was talking to him later, and he was saying something along the lines of like, when they decided to go back on tour, we were definitely at the top of the list of bands that they wanted. Just kind of, it blows your mind. And kind of eased up all the future conversations after that to know that, you know, he's it just kind of feels like when you do like a show trade or something like that, like when, you know, we'll play another city and we'll have friends we like kind of thing, and vice versa. We'll bring in bands we like to Toledo or whatever. It has that feel to it. And, you know, every show kind of feels that way. And I, you know, just talking to him whenever we see him, like not being afraid to come up and say hey or whatever, that definitely takes the edge off of, you know, how crazy things can get. And it's totally cool. Like I said, it's almost like it's just a couple friends, like, doing a tour themselves. Just kind of hanging out. That's the kind of feel it has. And their set is so... It's such a funny set. It's almost like a play, the way they do it. You know, they're really theatrical guys, and acting was kind of their first love. And it's just been fun to be able to watch that. And, you know, we'll be able to... I don't think we meet up with them for about another 3 weeks to a month, but I can't wait to get back, because I watch their show every night, and, you know, it's fantastic. So I'm really, really excited to even be given that opportunity. So.
And you guys have the show in Toledo with Mindfish, right? You're going to be back here with them on the 15th, is it?
Yeah, 15th.
So what's that going to be like? I mean, how have all the guys in Mindfish been with all this? Have they been pretty cool with the whole thing?
They've been really supportive. Yeah, they've been totally cool with it, and, you know, I couldn't appreciate that more. It's you know, we did kind of like a farewell to Athens thing, and me and Steve, like Steve lives in Toledo, I'll be moving back, and we kind of just wanted to just kind of like I don't know, a celebration, like graduating college kind of thing. Just the whole tour, and I'll be back in town, and it's kind of a good way to meet up with friends, you know, at one location, just have a party that night. We also did a thing, we had a Kickstarter. We did a Kickstarter thing for our album, and I mean, we talked about that, but one of the rewards was all the songs that we wrote for people, and those are finally coming out on the 15th, because we recorded them all and they're ready to be put out. So I think it's just going to be, you know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to get back to Toledo and just see everybody again. And I don't have much time this summer, and I just, you know, we wanted to just do one more show. I think in the future, for the next couple months, we're going to start working on, we've been working on new material, you know, on our own for a while now, but I think we're going to, you know, once I get back on the tour, we're going to really get back in the studio. I know we did a lot of shows in the past year, and I think we're going to hold off for a little bit and really start focusing on, you know, getting our new stuff together and working on that. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's a big question mark or anything, because I know that we'll be playing shows in the near future, but I think it'd be too much pressure to be out on the road with the site doing something this big and having to be worried about what's the next step for Mindfish. And I know, you know, we're all on the same page, you know, those guys. So I know come fall we'll be doing shows here and there and really working on new stuff. And I'm really excited, you know, about the new stuff. It's definitely you know, the next step towards musically where I want to be taking things, and, you know, the band's been really cool with a lot of the new stuff, so it's gonna be exciting just to kind of, you know, take a breather once I get back in the fall. I haven't really done that in over a year and a half, so that'll be good.
So Mindfish is definitely still, you guys are still a band and everything. It's just kind of on hiatus right now, obviously, because of this opportunity you got.
I wouldn't even use that word, but yeah, we're just kind of one foot in front of the other kind of thing, one day at a time.
And one last thing, man, and thanks again so much, Dean. I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, thanks for working around my schedule. I really, you know, appreciate that. It's been a crazy busy couple of weeks.
Hey, you're welcome, man. It's not a problem. You've been working towards an opportunity like this for a while now, and I mean, you mentioned the Sax Watch festival that you got to do, but you guys also did the I think you did like the Whiskey a Go Go and Tenacious D and this whole thing. I mean, what is it like for this opportunity to finally be here? I mean, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit already, but to be, you're 21, 22 now?
Yeah. Still 21.
21 years old to be, doing all this. I mean, what is it like to have this moment finally arrive?
I had a couple thoughts, because it's almost like you anticipate what it's going to feel like so much that when it actually happens, you kind of maybe miss it the first time. It's kind of how I felt at the first show. Even after we did 4 big shows like that, playing in front of crowds like that feels really natural. And I almost don't think about it too much anymore, because they're already there. It's really easy to work crowds that big. If they're already there to see an exciting band and everything. And just there for the love of music and the love of being on a fest like that, being at a fest like that, or big shows like that. And the crowd for the Tenacious D show is amazing. They really, I guess I'd say we've been winning them over, but I think they've just been super supportive. I think it's hard to beat opening band sometimes, especially if you're not known and the band you're playing for is as big as Tenacious D is. It's kind of almost like a cultural icon for a lot of these kids who are there. But they've really welcomed us with open arms, and we couldn't be more thankful. But it's like when you're 14 or 13 and you want to start a band and you have this idea of like being a rock star. I'm not calling myself that, because that's not at all what I mean by this, but it totally, at certain points during the show on certain nights, it totally feels like you're living out that dream you had when you were 14 years old. And whatever happens after this in my life, and I know I'm young, and I'm really trying to seize all the opportunities I can, and I feel like I've done the best I can up to this point, but it just kind of feels like I can say, at one point in my life, yes, I was living that dream. I was living that lifestyle, of being a touring musician. Since I graduated, I'm currently unemployed, and this is what I'm doing to make my living. And I'm really proud of the fact that I've gotten, the opportunity to do this. Like I said, some nights it kind of feels like a dream, and it's the most exciting thing I've ever done, and it's the most enjoyable thing I've ever done, bar none. But I think overall, I'm just really thankful, for this band to even accept me as, a fifth member, and to have toured with so many great bands and played with so many great bands, and I don't know. I don't even know if it necessarily feels like it's all been leading up to this, because this happened so fast. But I'm happy that for some reason I was meant to be in the right place at the right time, and I'm really thankful that I've had opportunities to keep this going, and have had really great people providing support over the years, because I know that, I wouldn't be able to be doing this right now if that wasn't the case. But yeah, man, it felt like a dream. For the 30 minutes we get to go up on stage each night, it's just a total blast, and it's kind of out of body sometimes. It just feels like, it feels like I'm living the dream, and I think for now it's safe to say I am.
Crikey! All right, that was Mr. Dean Tartaglia, as I said, the saxophonist for Detroit outfit The Sights, as well as the frontman, singer for Mindfish. He also plays saxophone and gold. The kid does a lot of stuff, man. He's a very musically inclined guy, and I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. I mean, it was even inspiring for me as a guy who's been, kind of trying to build my name in my respective field the last couple of years, and getting closer and closer to potentially leaving the coop and what I know as far as my hometown of Toledo, because it's tough to finally get to the point where it's like, okay, I got to spread my wings and start expanding outward, and is it tough to get out away from everything? Yes, but at the same time, there's also a lot of positive things I think that come out of just taking that leap of faith.
Sure. Heck yeah.
And for Dean, it's for him, he started like I said, getting into music when he was 6 years old, taking piano lessons. So really, music's been a big part of his life for the better part of his life for the last 15, 16 years, and it's been interesting, and I've seen some local bands take their journeys the last couple of years with Tropic Bombs and Ryan Waiting and everybody over there. Really cool guys, really awesome to see what they've been able to do in the local scene, and then also to get in touch with Dean and see what they've been able to do with Mindfish and building a name regionally, and then to have the success that he's had on top of it and getting this opportunity with the sites, it has been really, really cool. So I just want to say thanks to Dean for letting me give this interview to the people, man, because I think it's a story I've wanted to get out there for a while. This was from the summer, like I said, right as he was at the tip of the iceberg with this and this entire experience, and may even try to get in touch with them for kind of maybe make this into a two-parter at some point down the road, just to see what it was like for him to go over to Europe even. Getting to do all the cool places in America. I mean, it's been awesome, but getting over to Europe also, I mean, as a kid in your early 20s, I mean, I gotta imagine he's just was waking up every day pinching himself saying, oh my God, I'm on the road with friggin', Tenacious D, the Sights, and Jack Black. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And the cool thing about it is that, as you all just heard, Jack Black, I think is about what you'd expect. Was just a really nice, funny guy. He's a big fan of music. That's why the Sights ended up on this tour, because he loves the music that they make. And I know that when Dean said when they were doing the tour in the summer, he was out watching their set every night, and that just tells you, I think, a lot about Jack Black, that he's like what appeared to be, from my conversation with Dean, just a really down to earth guy, and not somebody that was just this big Hollywood star. Even though he's like that when he's on stage and when he performs, he's got the big personality. Off stage, Dean said he was pretty cool, so I thought that was awesome. But make sure you check out the sites at sitesarmy.com. As I said, their latest record came out on June 19th, Leftover Right. It's their 7th studio album, and Dean was a part of that. You can hear his sax abilities on that, as well as some of his vocal work. And also check out themindfish.com. That's themindfish.com. That's their local band out of Athens/Toledo, kind of more of like a nerd pop rock outfit, whereas the Sights is kind of more of a heavy soul rock type of outfit. But Mindfish is going to be working on some new stuff coming up here. And yeah, man, it's just I thought it was just a good story. And for all of you out there, as we approach the end of this year and a new year, maybe it can be a new beginning for you if you've been struggling or wondering which way to take or what direction to go. Just pursue your dreams. You never know what can happen, and I think Dean is just living proof that, hey, man, he's a young guy, but he's talented. He worked his ass off and ended up networking with the right people and got to experience some pretty cool stuff that he'll be telling his grandkids about. So once again, check out sitesarmy.com, themindfish.com. You can go to those sites, get the tour dates, the links, the news, all the stuff, the scoop, as it were. And for us, make sure you check us out, too, at ToledoFreePress.com and ToledoSportsNetwork.com. You can see my handiwork on Toledo Free Press. You can also see what I look like if you're so curious to know what the face behind this voice looks like over at Toledo Sports Network. And,
I ain't saying nothing on that.
But yeah, it's crazy, man. We've got basketball season well underway now, and
boxing's coming up.
We got some boxing
MMA
stuff coming up. There's been a lot of stuff going on
finally starting to happen
in T-Town, yeah. So, but anyway, man, I just want to wrap this up by saying thanks again for everybody who's supporting the show. We're steadily getting close to 2,000 channel visits on baumansbreakdown.podbean.com, and for no other promotion other than just me twittering it to my followers and getting it out there, and kind of by word of mouth. Somehow I've managed to creep up near 2,000 views, which I know in the grand scheme of things in cyberspace, there's people out there getting millions of hits on this and that and Gangnam Style and all that stuff, but I'm not on that level at all. I'm just a dude that loves music and loves talking to people And it's cool to share other people's stories with you guys, because I think it's inspiring when you look at your own life. And sometimes, like I said, even in my life, I'm kind of at a crux right now where I'm thinking about a lot of things on a daily basis and what direction I'm going to take and where I'm going to go. And, stuff like this kind of just reminds you that, you can't be afraid to take a risk. You got to take a chance, and you just got to have faith in yourself and your abilities, and good things will happen. And they certainly did with Dean Tartaglia. So, keep that in mind as the new year comes up and you get a chance to have a new beginning with the next 12 months of your life. But Mikey, thanks again for joining me, buddy. I appreciate it. I know you got to bounce soon, so everybody, thanks again. Check out baumansbreakdown.podbean.com if you're not there listening to it as we speak, or as I speak, rather. Also, you can go to iTunes. You can subscribe for free, and please do that, because that helps iTunes track how many listeners we have, and that helps build the show up. And on that note, I will just say thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate you listening. Thank you, Dean. And keep the faith and be kind to one another. Peace.